When I was younger, it felt like my parents were always watching the news, and of course, no child wants to actually sit there and watch the news, but it was on the TV, so I listened to it. And something that I heard over and over and over again was the name Casey Anthony. I didn't know what it meant or who it was. Um, I just know that I heard it a lot. And as I got older and I got more into the true crime world, I soon discovered what happened with this person I always heard about when I was younger. Casey Anthony was the mother of Kaylee Anthony, a young girl from Orlando, Florida, who was reported missing on July 15th of 2008 by her grandmother Cindy. When Cindy reported Kaylee missing, she informed the dispatchers that she had not seen her for 31 days. During these 31 days, she asked her daughter Casey where Kaylee is over and over again, and she eventually settles on the story that Kaylee has been kidnapped by a nanny named Zenaida Gonzalez, and she hasn't seen her since June 9th. Casey told investigators that the only reason why she didn't call and report this incident to police is because she was worried that something would happen to Kaylee if she did, so she just decided to take care of this on her own. After her initial interview with police, she leads them to 3 possible locations to where Kaylee may be. When investigators looked into these locations, they learned that the first one was a dead end, the second one was an apartment that had been vacant for almost 3 months, and the last location was a retirement home. If you're familiar with true crime at all, then you've probably heard the phrase that the first 48 hours of an investigation is the most important. So these investigators are already behind by an entire month. And when they follow up with other details that Casey gives them, it continues to just be false information. Eventually, police interview Casey's boyfriend, Tony, and he tells the police that he was actually in the process of breaking up with her. And in order to let her down easy, he told her that he would never marry a woman that had a child. And he believes that this comment may have caused whatever happened to Kaylee. After the interrogation, Casey is arrested for lying to a police officer, obstructing an investigation, and child neglect. Casey's car is taken into evidence, and multiple people claim that the trunk of this car, including Cindy, her mother, say that it smells like human decomposition. During their investigation, the police find out that during this time that Kaylee has been missing, Casey has just kind of been out living her best life. On June 16th of 2008, Casey tells her parents that she and Kaylee are going to be spending the night with the nanny, but she is seen on surveillance at a Blockbuster that night with her boyfriend, and Kaylee is nowhere to be seen. On June 20th, Casey and her boyfriend are at Fusion nightclub, and she enters a hot body contest. On June 27th, Casey is seen at the mall with her boyfriend and at Fusion nightclub again that night. On July 2nd, she has a tattoo appointment, and she gets a tattoo on her left shoulder that says Bella Vita, which translates to beautiful life. On July 4th, she goes to a party, and on July 15th, Casey's mother finally confronts her, and Casey says that Kaylee has been missing for 31 days and that Zanny the nanny was the one who took her. October 14th, Casey is arrested and charged with first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter of a child, and 4 counts of providing false information to the police. Then, on December 11th, human remains were found and eventually confirmed to be Kaylee's. The trial began on May 24th of 2011. The prosecution claimed that Casey used chloroform and then suffocated her with duct tape and left her body in the trunk and eventually disposed of it. The defense claimed that Kaylee accidentally drowned in the family's pool and that Casey's father, George, was the one who covered it up. On July 5th of 2011, the jury finds Casey not guilty of first-degree murder, aggravated manslaughter of a child, and aggravated child abuse. But she was found guilty on 4 counts of providing false information to law enforcement. Casey is sentenced to 1 year in county jail and a $1,000 fine for each of the 4 counts of false information. Because Casey had been in jail since October of 2008, she is released 10 days later. After this trial happens, Casey pretty much disappears from the public eye. Every once in a while, she would pop up in the news, but really it would just be for people seeing her out in public. You know, people seeing her being like, oh, I just saw Casey Anthony at my local grocery store. But a few days ago, in early March, she posts a video to TikTok.
I sweat to death. Okay. Today is Saturday, March 1st, 2025. This is my first of probably many recordings on a series that I'm starting. I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011. And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter. For those of you who don't know, my name is Casey Anthony. My daughter is Kaylee Anthony. My parents are George and Cindy Anthony. This is not about them. This is not in response to anything that they have said or done. That's not to say that I'm not going to respond at some point to some of the things that they have said and done. The whole point of this is for me to begin to reintroduce myself. I'm doing this both personally for me, but in a professional capacity. Moving forward, the majority of what you will see will be me speaking in a professional capacity. My goal is to continue to help give a voice to people, to give people tools and resources that they can utilize so they actually know where they can turn to. So with that, please join me on Substack. If you have questions, I will set up an email address where we can correspond directly. Up until this point, that has never happened. And it's only going to be on a limited basis regarding legal issues, legal matters. One of the main reasons that I'm doing this, there are people close to me who have been targeted and attacked recently. There are also people close to me who have had some recent things occur. And when necessary, people needed to step up, myself included. So as a proponent for the LGBTQ community, for our legal community, women's rights, I feel that it's important that I use this platform that was thrust upon me and now look at as a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008. With that, these aren't going to be perfect. They're not going to be edited. Most of the time, they're not going to be short. But I am proverbially standing in the light, embracing this piece, still going to keep my privacy intact. So you will get very comfortable with my car, and I will explain in great detail why it's so important for people to protect their privacy. It's not just important to public figures, it's even more important to private individuals. And with the current climate in our country especially, it's that much more important, which is why I am utilizing the Substack platform. Yes, I am advertising this and publishing this on TikTok, possibly also through other meta platforms, but my intention is to separate from that and showcase even more why Substack is such an important resource for people to utilize moving forward. Anyway, I appreciate your time, and we'll see how this goes.
Well, that was something. Where to begin? Well, I think the first thing on my mind and everyone else's mind, she says she wants to be a legal advocate for women's rights and LGBTQ plus rights, which, love that. You know, we need plenty of that. But I think my problem stands with the fact that the first person she should have been a legal advocate for was Kaylee. She was not on the side of Kaylee. If she was on the side of Kaylee, why did she wait an entire month before saying anything. And I know that she was found not guilty of these charges, right? The reason why she was found not guilty of these charges is because there has to be no reasonable doubt. And unfortunately, because the prosecution came out swinging, so did the defense. And that left room for reasonable doubts. And that is personally the reason why I believe that she was found guilty on some of the counts. And I think it's very bold of her to try and come out all these years later and say that she wants to be a legal advocate. And I think that the other thing that kind of came into my mind when she said that she wanted to be a legal advocate, one of the first things that I said was, because of the court of public opinion, anyone that Casey Anthony stands behind will be just immediately discredited. This is how I view it. I view that anyone that Casey Anthony may be like, yeah, let's help them. It's like, ooh, girl. Maybe if Casey Anthony is standing behind this person, maybe something isn't right. But I understand that the message that she's going for, and removing her from the situation, the message that she's going for, it's great. It's fantastic. It's a message, it's something that people need. But unfortunately, due to how the world views her, it's legal advocacy for someone like Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony's trial was the next generation of the O.J. Simpson trial. So of course, after Casey posts this video on her TikTok, the internet had things to say, and man, they did not hold back. And after she started seeing the things that people were saying on the internet, I don't exactly know where this message is posted on. In her post, it says, "For everyone speaking, good, bad, or otherwise, heed your words and make sure you're saying something of substance. Here's the law in Florida about threats, libel, and slander, etc. You don't have to be a Florida resident to be charged. Jurisdiction is where the crime is committed, usually. If it's over the internet and you are saying something hateful, slanderous, liable, threatening, bullying, etc., the recipient party can request the jurisdiction be in the state where they live, not the state where you committed the act. The internet is not a protected place." My next thread, I will be posting the statutes for every one of our 50 states and our territories. Even for those of you saying these things about me, I'm still going to continue to do what I said I was going to do, which is advise you of your rights and the law. It is public record. And if necessary, I will remind you that this is not legal advice, purely public information. You need to educate yourselves before you implicate yourselves. I would say stop the BS, and I think that's asking a little too much. We all have the same freedom of speech, but the First Amendment does not protect you against these things most of the time. So unsolicited advice, proceed with caution. So basically, she's just upset that people are not accepting her with open arms onto the internet. I mean, can you blame them? So I guess in the future, we'll keep eyes open to see if she threatens to sue anyone or, charges anyone with something.